Hello everyone, this is your Professor Tei Wang. This lecture is to give you a brief introduction to the modeling tool that we are using in this particular class. Modeling is an important skill in the world of IT professional. As a IT student, you should be familiar with many of these software tools that is available to you. I believe many of you have experience already in your past learning that to use some sort of a software tool to draw the most basic modeling, that is the flowchart. And I have pointed to a website, and this website will be posted on your Canvas module, telling you what are the best flowchart software of 2020 according to this company called DPM. If you scroll down to the list, and they have top 10 showing up here. Creately, Miro, Microsoft VCO, Glyphy, and so on and so forth. And you probably know already in our class, the main tool we're going to be using is called Microsoft VCO. In my personal opinion, Microsoft VCO is probably not the best tool. Actually, it may not even be classified into the top 10 tools in the modeling world. However, it's readily available to us through both the Microsoft 365 subscription from the UIS and as well as the so-called Azure Development Network that we subscribe to the Microsoft through the Academic Alliance. And there are, of course, other options that we can use for this class, but I choose that we're going to be following Microsoft VCO as the main tool. However, when we proceed to the learning of the UML model in particular in our class, I would like to give you a brief sort of like a consideration of the tool that you are using. So I've created a little list to tell you why we are using the modeling tool and why we are learning the modeling tool in our class, and also what are the popular tools in different classification that I want to let you know. So the role of modeling in the software development, in this case we are doing system analysis and design or so-called requirement engineering. And it's used for communication, to communicate between different stakeholders. For documentation purpose, it sometimes serves as a contract, very much like the engineering document, engineering blueprint that we use to sign contract with engineering firm. Used for requirement management, it is actually a project management tool. We use this together with many management tool, including the time management and human resource management tool, to make sure that the job is done correctly and on time. It also provides traceability and accountability. I didn't put on accountability here, but it just basically have becoming a tool that you can track and to make sure that what kind of requirement is performed by what person. And so when you are software, when your system have to have problem, you can always go back to the original person or the original source code so you can fix the problem. Finally, we have this important feature called a model-driven automation. Forward and backward engineering or full cycle engineering, this category of the purpose. And this is not discussed much in the academic setup. But in this particular class, I will design a few assignments. So you will review a few software that I list under the selection of modeling software here. And these software including the software such as AgilePoint and Power App from Microsoft, APAC. Some of you will be taking the database class. APAC is a tool from Oracle. And Mendix is an automation tool from IBM. These are the modern tools that the software development company use to simplify the development process. So going back to the tool we are using called the Microsoft tool, it is actually under the lowest category of the so-called modeling tool. It only provides the diagramming functionality, nothing else. Microsoft Visual has been over the past 20 years or so when I had become a professor teaching this course, try to integrate Microsoft Visual into their .NET development environment. but it was not a very successful effort. And so in the same category, you can also using some other similar diagramming tool offered either by Adobe or in here I give you another example, usually combined with Google document that you can draw UML diagram or flowchart with. It's called a Lucy chart. Now in the second category is a traditional in the system development society, we call them either a full cycle engineering tools or requirement management tool. This including a company called Visual Paradigm. This is a tool I have been using when I was teaching this course in earlier of my career. And also there's another tool offered by, of course, big software giant IBM. They also have a family of the tools called the IBM Rational family of the tool. And probably the flagship of the tool today is called the IBM Door. The link to the website of these tools are all available to you from our class. And just to give you a glimpse of what they look like, and this is the Visual Paradigm website, and as you can probably see, there is sort of like a bunch of diagrams showing up, flowchart, UML diagram, network diagram, and so on and so forth. And this is the Visual Paradigm independent company family. They are pretty small in the software companies world, but they have been around for a while, so I believe that they have something we can learn from them. IBM website, IBM and requirement engineering tool, and this tool, as you can probably see, that the main tool is called requirement management doors next, and that is their main feature product right now. From Microsoft, they have, of course, pretty much just put VCO as their main modeling tool, which serve a pretty good purpose for most of the manual, very developer-oriented development. You can always draw VCO, put them into their communication system, including Office environment, and share with everybody, including the cloud Office environment, share with everybody. So that's Microsoft world. And Lucy chart, they also is a very popular, and one of the reasons for that is it is free for most of the developer. So for those of you who are not liking the Microsoft product, and including your professor, I'm more a Google person. I use Lucy chart once a while just to prepare and draw diagram. But to be honest with you, the feature of Lucy chart UML is still very limited, and both VCO and Lucy chart does not provide the, you can say, the standardized UML notation. So sometimes it creates some confusion, especially when you are using the tool together with our textbook. Our textbook, this semester we are using a new textbook. This textbook pretty much uses Microsoft VCO as a tool. That is good, so we will not see the confusion. And there is an issue about standardization of the modeling, and that will be discussing another lecture. But for now, and we will be using one of these tools, but for our class assignment purpose, you either go for Lucy chart and VCO. The tutorial, of course, we're going to be using VCO. It's already free, available on our virtual desktop, so we will be using that tool most of the time. Thank you.